Hello, everyone. Welcome to Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianxie and Frank. In this episode, I want to talk about the Hong Kong, the national security law that China has imposed on Hong Kong. We heard that you probably read about that. In just the 1st of July, the so-called national security law passed in the National People's Congress Standing Committee. And very quickly, immediately, they put that into effect in Hong Kong. This really shocked the world. Right? The communist regime does not even pretend to be civil or decent. Right? They really show to the world that they can disregard all the code of conduct, rule of law, moral principles, and legal traditions. Right? They just want to impose their, you know, backward and also, the authoritarian rule onto the from the free port of Hong Kong onto the last piece of free land of Hong Kong. Yeah. Of course, people world over all feel like shocked, and we all enraged by the deed of Chinese Communist regime, and also feel saddened for the people of Hong Kong. Right? And we're all wondering, what can we do to help? Right? But from another perspective, the people of the world, we should not feel too sad or too pessimistic about this, because as China is doing what they're doing to destroy Hong Kong, they're actually running out of their ammunition. There's really not much else they can do because they're exhausted. They have shot their last bullet. Right? Now, what they face now is really the retribution and punishment from the people and the governments, of the world. This so-called national security law is so evil, and it actually put all the people of the world, under its jurisdiction. Basically, even anyone, even if you any person outside of Hong Kong and outside of China, of course, and as long as you are against communist rule in Hong Kong and against communism, they basically view you as a criminal. They could punish you, arrest you once you step on the land of Hong Kong. Right? In this, the legal text of this law was in Chinese only, not even in English. They don't feel they are not to even show that to the people of the world, the legal community. As one intellectual in Hong Kong, Mrs. Tsai, said, this is really a law of the Middle Ages, Dark Ages of Europe. Right? And it's true. And the regime, their mentality, the leaders, Chinese leaders, their mentality, the way of doing things is so weird, so evil, and so old-fashioned. It's actually worse than the Dark Ages of Europe. Right? Of course, the Chinese government's scare tactics is not really working. The Hong Kongers were not scared, did not fear the Chinese government. And on July 1st, and hundreds of thousands of people went on the street to protest. Okay? Recent years, actually, in the last few years, the government of China has been bragging. They have been saying they are facing they have been saying that they're really in the best development opportunity. They have the best development opportunity and great environment, global environment for them to grow. They're really happy and bragging about their achievement, everything. And until now, they suddenly find that the good old days are gone, and they're really facing the encirclement or the threat from the old countries on Earth, right? Basically, the international community is united. They're really trying to face off with China, with communist China. Yeah. And Chinese regime has found that now they really everybody is everybody is enemy. Right? Of course, we know U.S., Japan have been viewed by the Chinese as their top enemies all the time. Right? But even European countries are becoming more and more clear about where they are, what they're facing, and they start to rethink about their relations with China, communist China, and India, and also Russia. Russia has been. We have seen Russia trying to benefit from the conflict between India and China. And of course, the old countries on Earth, with this spread of Wuhan virus or CCP virus and the pandemic, and the whole world, is mad, is angry at China for they're trying to find ways, many individuals, organizations, even countries are trying to find a way to just settle the debt, those to find a settlement or suing Chinese government. Just at this time, when the whole world is really up against the Chinese government regime, they just made this move, to destroy Hong Kong. There was a tweet, forwarded by the U.S. mission in Beijing from the Twitter. The tweet was from Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, which says very well. It says something to the effect that the cruel and harsh national security law ended free Hong Kong, and also shows the biggest fear of Chinese communists, right? As his people, his own people, his freedom, free will, and freedom of thought of Chinese people. That's truly the case, right? Really, even though this destroying Hong Kong is to the dismay of people worldwide, but it also shows that the Chinese regime is really in fear internally, right? And really feel that there's really not much they can do. Yeah. If you look at Hong Kong, look at the Chinese communist regime, how evil it is. Let's not. We don't even need to go back to 70 years ago when it first started. And let's just look at past 30 years, right? That's enough to show that it's really the biggest, the most evil, the greediest monster in human history. Remember in June of 1989, the Chinese regime opened fire to peaceful demonstrating Chinese students in Beijing's Tiananmen Square, killing thousands of students and citizens, right? And then in 1999, right, the regime started its persecution of Falun Gong spiritual movement, killing thousands, at least documented thousands of practitioners. And there's even live organ harvesting from incarcerated practitioners. That's the atrocity is ongoing until today. Right? And then, during the last 2 years, when China and U.S. were engaged in a negotiation talk on the trade deals, we have seen that the government has been going back and forth, and breaking its promises all the time. And now also after the phase one deal was reached, the Chinese government is not fulfilling its promise in purchasing enough agricultural products from U.S. Now with this Wuhan pandemic, we have seen the government again is cheating, lying, disguising, and they even trying hard to benefit from the pandemic by hoarding, strategic materials such as protective equipment, masks, etc. Just now, we have seen that they're working, blatantly to destroy Hong Kong. They're working, blatantly to destroy Hong Kong. There's no credibility, and there's no chance for you to seek repentance. Okay? So if you just look at the confrontation of China and India, recently, we can see that India has been fully motivated, trying to, get even with Chinese aggression. India also got support from both United States and Russia. The newest, the most accurate cannons, cannons and ammunitions, and also intelligence and support and through satellites. Right? Every move by the Chinese soldiers, Chinese military, is under the eyes of Chinese U.S. military. Is also known to the Indian military. Right? To the surprise of many, Russia is now showing any support to the Chinese regime. And we know that China is buying a lot of oil and natural. That kind of like economic tie is not enough to stop Russia from supporting India openly. Russia is selling India its most advanced anti-air air defense missiles, fighters, and everything, and is actually working to undermine undermine Chinese government. It's actually the first time ever that the U.S. and Russia are joining hands and working together to deal with China. First time ever. Yeah? So what has the government, Chinese regime, been doing? And the Chinese leaders are working were demanding their top leaders to be loyal, military leaders to be loyal to the Secretary Xi, and asking for absolute loyalty and preparing to fight the war. They know the end time is coming, right? So that's why they're moving their muscles, or flexing their muscles, moving their militaries, right? And the U.S. military threat has already military presence. They have already made military, scared enough. One, the Chinese generals used to claim that as soon as U.S. military sets its foot on Taiwan, that's the time when China will unify, so-called, unquote, unify Taiwan by force. Now, actually, the U.S. military has shown that it has already set foot on Taiwan. U.S. Marine has been working with the Taiwan's special forces in their special warfare operations, and they're working together. They're on Taiwan soil, but we haven't seen China respond in certain ways anyway. Okay? And also from an economic perspective, the Chinese regime has asked to have a talk, is to let the U.S. like the U.S. to go easy on China with regard to Hong Kong issues, and not sanction those Chinese government officials. Right? Of course, the U.S. rejected this Chinese request, but at this time, we would think, the regime would, should, take a step back from its stance in Hong Kong and retract the national security law. But no, they didn't do it. Instead, they forced the law. So basically, they really kind of like closed its last window of the opportunity and used its last bargaining chip. Right? Now the people of Hong Kong, I've been to that place, once. Very beautiful city, free port, good food, everything. Right? And that beautiful Hong Kong is really in its final stage, and is facing total destruction, unfortunately. Yeah. And of course, the Hong Kongers are making their last ditch effort, fighting hard, right? But really, I think it's really now it's time for the free world to realize, we have no way back. We cannot, beg any further. We have to strike back against Chinese Communist government. Of course, many countries have provided safe harbors to people in Hong Kong, accepting millions of refugees. But those people who can escape from Hong Kong are mostly rich, intellectual elite, and financial elite, and those kind of people. I mean, at most, that's about 3 million people. Now, what about the rest, 4 million people in Hong Kong who are either younger or poorer or older, do not have any special skills. They cannot leave Hong Kong, right? And they need help from the free world. Okay? I believe, the U.S. Measures to fight, the Chinese in Hong Kong is going to escalate, in the months to come. Okay? In the months to come, I hope it looks like the U.S. government has some plans and some ways to escalate, to fight the Chinese government, the regime, from economically, politically, in trade, through trade, diplomacy, and even military. Okay? Basically, the U.S. and the world has no other choice. Yeah. We either destroy Chinese communism or be destroyed by Chinese communists. Okay? So, as I said, I think with the national security law in place in Hong Kong, the government of China, really Chinese communists, they run out of their ammunition. They have used all chips, bargaining chips. Now they have to face angry Hong Kongers. They have to face the capital flight, okay? And also the Hong Kong's role as a world financial center will be gone, and the free port of Hong Kong will be gone, disappear. Right? And there are many ways for U.S. to act on Hong Kong, right? From low to high, low intensity to high intensity, from mild to drastic. I think the U.S. can take this step by step, to escalate. Right? The U.S. government has already decided to impose sanctions on Chinese officials and Hong Kong government officials, and freeze their assets, refuse to give them visas, and but what about next? If this seems to be not enough, certainly not enough right now, right? Next could be trade war and economic war. Yeah? And U.S. could try to make all those foreign exchanges, foreign capitals, bank capitals, financial capitals, make them out of China, make them out of Hong Kong, make them move them away from Hong Kong. Right? So away from communist rule, Chinese communist rule. Right? The U.S. could, forbid Chinese banks of using the SWIFT system for the interbank settlement and transactions. And next, the U.S. could or should do is to prevent China's regime from doing anything stupid or anything aggressive in Taiwan Strait, in South China Sea, and in East China Sea. Next step, I think the U.S. should be prepared, should get ready to prepare or get ready to fight the Chinese from outer space. I think next war is going to start from outer space, fighting against the satellites or U.S. assets in space, and also from cyberspace. And the world, we have seen that going on in cyberspace between U.S. and China. And also U.S. should try hard, should use its rules, use its means to destroy the Chinese firewall. Okay? That's really the foundation of Chinese rule right now, right? Communist rule right now. And finally, U.S. government should consider is really the taking out the Chinese communist leadership, right? And basically using all the means that you can have, because the Chinese communists is really a terrorist group, just like those terrorist groups in Middle East. If we can end the Chinese communist rule, with those, uh, special operations, we could really, end the authoritarian regime with the minimum amount of death casualties. Okay? So people of the free world who love Hong Kong and who are against Chinese Communist rule, dictatorship, we shouldn't feel sad. We really should feel sad, and we should know that really the communists is in fear, right? They have their in their deep in their heart, they're really afraid, right? And that's why they're so crazy. So that's why we should continue our fight with with rationality. You know, Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Hong Kong is has been in the past, 100 years or so, a window to the world for China. Now this window to the world is closed, and, and then China will get into a dark age, total dark age. People will feel despair. But even though it's so dark right now at this moment, but hope is really in front of us, and because this is also the weakest moment of the Chinese Communist regime, and they could not threaten, the people of Hong Kong or world anymore. They have used ammunition, and they have used all their bargaining chips. What else can they do? And now the world, the people of the world, all the good old people, all the good people of the world, we are now together, united, to confront the Chinese Communist regime. So, and the final blow, uh, I think, it's just, in the process. Okay. Thank you very much for this episode of Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianxin. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.